All you do is open Restream and it's ready to go. And now it's streaming. Yep, there's that. Okay, we are live. And then there's our chat. There's Chad. Okay, here we go. Alex, over here.
How are you?
You're out of the picture. All right, everybody. You two must have talking this week.
Why?
Because can't you tell that my voice is rough? I got a cold, everyone. I'm sorry.
I know, snapping turtle.
But why would you ask why? Because you asked why. That's you. Go ahead.
Ugh. Did you hear about the actor that fell through the floor?
No.
He was going through a stage.
I figured for the Grammys I'd put that in, or the Oscars.
Shout out to the Dream Team Doubles winners, Hot Sticks, Randy Ruiz and Daniel Millisock, and finalists J.R. Shooters, Randy Drarbelbis, and Jacob Gross. Upcoming events, we've got the White Tier Big Dogs. What do you know what day that is?
Saturday.
And the ladies finals on Saturday, and juniors regional on Sunday. It should be pretty exciting. What else? You want me to do the birthdays?
No, they're later.
Oh, they are. What do I do now?
General news?
We had a very big night for the I Beat the League Operator charity fundraiser this week. The money raised went to Red Creek Wildlife Foundation because that is the Reading Boosters charity of the month. $710 was raised for the charity. The charity had a tragic fire a few months ago and needed the money to rebuild the veterinarian facility. If you'd like to participate and raise some money for charity, fill out the form in the tab in the app under what?
Various forms.
Various forms in the Blue Mountain APA page in your app.
In the app.
Let's see, 2023 Spring Dream Team Doubles went very well. Everyone had a great time. The competition was really tough, I think. There were 36 teams, and the finals went quickly. Hot Sticks, Randy Rules, and Daniel Millisock put a bow tie on it all.
Yeah, the Hot Sticks shot so good. I mean, all day long, J.R. Shooters was shooting really good, and J.R. Shooters really only made one or two mistakes in the...
I think they only had one or two turns. Like it was over so fast.
See what Billy Moyer says.
What's that? That's funny, Billy.
Well, read it.
I did. You lost your voice because of saying put your paperwork in the basket
All day long.
That's funny.
I had fun with that. Somebody came up. I'm like, oh, I got another one on the hook. But yeah, that event was great. A lot of people seemed to have fun. Went pretty fast.
It was over at what, 10:30?
10:30.
Yeah.
There was one or two players that had to take 2 hours for every round.
Let me guess.
One or two teams.
I'm gonna guess. It's one of the Padillas.
It was one of them. Every round was full boat. Well, last week it was Craig Schneider that took so long. His matches were almost 2 hours. It's always somebody.
Yeah, it was a fun event. I wish we could run more like little cash tournaments, but we just don't have the
I'm going to try to find a place for them in the
weekends.
calendar.
We're getting close to the end of spring session, so please make sure if you have any matches that need to be made up, get them made up. I do not want any makeup matches the last 2 weeks of the session. People are glued to the stats, especially at the end of session, And when there are makeup matches to be made and somebody thinks theirs in first and then somebody comes from behind because they have one or two matches to make up, really doesn't make for a great experience. Again, you know, we get this question a million times in spring session. Your spring session roster is your regional roster. All players need 6 matches in the spring session and 10 lifetime matches to be eligible for the Whirlpool qualifier. Summer session matches do not count toward this total.
We'll get asked that 100 times yet.
You put a poll out on that, right?
I
the
did.
Majority of people get it correct?
Most of the people got it right, actually.
Okay. I had a player yesterday who thought because he was on the team and got his matches in fall session, stayed on the team, has no matches in, thinking he could go to regionals.
I had a player yesterday, too, that left the regional team, and they were not very happy because they were on the fall team that won Tri-Cup, but not the spring team.
Yeah. Captains, you got to know this stuff. Are you going to go up? Rule reminder is the 50% rule for qualified teams. Qualified teams that do not finish in the top half of their division in the sessions after they qualified are subject to heavy scrutiny of their handicaps and or potential loss of qualification at the discretion of me and you. Summer session qualified teams must finish in the top half of their division in the subsequent fall and spring sessions leading to the World Qualifier. Fall session qualified teams must finish in the top half of their division in the subsequent spring session of the league leading into the World Qualifier. So if you are not in the top half, top 50% in your division and you are qualified, you need to call me and tell me why.
Yeah, you risk qualification, which is like super, super rare. But the APA has told us several times that when those teams are in regional, they want us, if anybody's even close, to move their players up. They want us manually moving the players. They've told us that. If a team was first place in fall and they're like close to the bottom in spring, they said to really watch those teams. And,
and unless you've had significant replacement of players, that should not be the case. Like all 8 people can't have a bad session at the same time.
At the same time.
Your spring rosters are World Qualifier rosters. Your roster at the end of spring session will be your team's roster for the World Qualifier. Players who were on the roster when the team qualified but are not on the roster in spring session leading into the World Qualifier are not eligible because they are no longer considered part of the team. There are no exceptions to this rule.
That's true.
That's in capital letters. Your etiquette for the day is lose gracefully. Sometimes it's just not your day.
That's an old etiquette that we have all the time, but it fits every time.
Like, it would be so much better if you lost, if you maybe went back through the match in your head and figured out what you did wrong and try to correct that, rather than, attacking your opponent's skill level or pitching a fit. Don't you think?
Most of the time it's because the players sucked that they lost.
I mean, you can't fix something if you don't take responsibility for it.
Like in the Dream Team doubles finals, JR shooters shot really, really good. It's just that Hot Sticks shot like way better. Like they were just shooting that good. Those boys were on, and there's nothing they could do about it. And then
There's nothing they could do.
JR shooters was real nice about it.
Oh,
like
yeah.
they had a couple chances and they completely pooched a couple of balls and they lost.
They also took the opportunity to jump on a table when it was available to keep themselves,
Hot Sticks, yeah, they were shooting on available tables the entire
to keep
time.
themselves warm, instead of sitting around for 3 or 4 hours and then being called to the table. They took advantage of every
I find that
open table possible.
I find that 90% of the time that if a shooter just sits there the entire time and then gets up and expects to do their match, they're not in a good position.
Right. They're not making good use of their time.
We can't help it. The bracket takes what it takes, and that's why we try to keep available tables towards the end of the match, so that way people can practice and stay warm. That's really important.
I think that's the first time in all these years that I've seen somebody try to stay warm for that long. Like
Yeah,
really making an effort to
Yeah, they played the whole time.
scramble onto a table, even if it was for 10 minutes.
You could really tell too.
Yeah. In the end, it was beneficial. I don't know. From Kerry Williams, he's from the Charlottesville area, passed away the other day. He's had a tough battle with cancer. He was in remission there for a while, and then recently, I guess it came back. So keep his family in your prayers. He's been in the league for as long as we've had it, I think. Right? Well, yeah, because Anita Reed, Harry. At any rate, yeah, keep him and his family in your prayers. We hate to.
Fred was popular. They
They
called him
called
Fred.
him
Fred
Fred.
was super popular.
Very, very nice.
In fact, I didn't even know that his name was Kerry for the longest time. I thought it was Fred.
Me neither. Me neither.
Yeah, he was a super popular dude. So keep his family and your friends in your prayers.
That's it. Let's see. What
So-
would be?
Michael, can I ask an important question? Do you want me to read it out loud?
No,
Well,
What would
one of us has to.
I'm gonna. Can you stop snapping at me?
Am I
I'm
snapping?
about done with it.
I'm sorry if I'm snapping.
What would be the purpose of calling you if the team doesn't finish in the top half? Teams that have good sessions and bad sessions. We aren't doing well right now, and there's no explanation other than the fact that we are off.
Well, because we need to look at every player. It might surprise you, but there's teams that don't try as hard in the spring after they've qualified.
There's no way that all 8 people are off their game. I'm not going to believe that. And if you don't reach out to me and talk to me about it, I'm going to scrutinize your team even more. Right?
Yeah, it doesn't happen often, and 99%.
We're not looking to kick you out of the regional. We're looking to get an explanation as to why you're not playing well. What is it? Is it a divorce? Did you replace your players? Was somebody sick? Like what? What?
A big part of that is the other teams will ask us. Their opponents ask us, well, how come this team is in last place now?
Yeah.
Why are they allowed to play?
It's in the team manual.
Yeah, like we had a team last year that was real strong for when they qualified in fall, and then spring came around and they couldn't play for crap. And I'm not going to mention who this team was, and it wasn't because they all had a bad session. They just didn't try very hard. So then what happened is they wound up in real poor seeding in the. To their dismay, they wound up in real poor seeding in the regional, which they were not happy about because they were not aware that your spring session points are what determine your seeding, and then they were knocked out. But they definitely
The
sandbagged.
cheaters. I'm not saying that your team is cheating, Mike.
We're not
Don't
saying that
take
about
this
your team at all.
Don't take this personally, but what I found over the years is the people that aren't playing to their potential never win.
It does happen, though.
You know.
I mean, if you're trying your best and you're just having a crappy session, and we can really tell that actually.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell by the numbers you post.
We can tell that by talking to the people. But like when you have a player, when you have 2 or 3
Look, he's got his voice back.
when you have 2 or 3 players, and yeah, but it's not fun to talk like this. When you have 2 or 3 players who got MVP, and then all of a sudden they're 1 for 8, that gets our attention.
How can you determine if a team isn't trying hard enough?
We can tell by their records.
I can tell by their records.
It shows in their scores.
So that's really all I can say about that.
Yeah, we can't get any more in depth with that. What else you got, Alex?
I don't have anything. You're going away again, yeah?
Friday. I should be back though.
Really?
This is no fun for me, Alex.
What isn't fun for you? I don't know what's in your head that you want to say, Walter.
I don't have anything I
Then
want to say.
end the meeting.
Why are you mad at me? All right. How can you determine if a team isn't trying? Oh yeah, we answered that question. All right, we're gonna go. Alex doesn't have much to say, and
Hang on. Do you take into account teams that are playing? Maybe
yes, we do take that into
we
account.
look at the whole picture, Mike.
We definitely take that into account. And some of the divisions are very tight, so sometimes from first place to last place is only a matter of a few points.
Yeah.
But like if your first place team has 1,200 and Nine Ball has 1,250 points, and you're last place and you're in last place with 800 points, we're gonna want to know why. However, if you're like in last place and you have like 1,060 points, we're not gonna want to know why, because we know that that's a good session. It's just the division was tough at that time. Or sometimes in 8-ball, the first place team will have about 176 points, and you'll have 165 points and be towards the bottom. However, there's other divisions where they'll have 165 points in first place, and then the team that won last session will have 135 points. That's different. There's a lot of ways we can tell if a team is not putting much effort into it.
Yeah, and if we're really having problems deciphering it, we call our consultant up and have him take a look.
And then we'll send the team down to the APA and let them review them, and they have raised people.
Yeah. I mean, we're not here to ruin your experience. We're not here to kick you out of regionals.
No, 95% of the teams that this happens to, and it does happen to teams every year, they're just playing normal. They're just not. They're not peaking, or for other reasons they haven't made it into the middle of the schedule, and they're fighting and trying their best. We're okay with that. But we have had situations where players have called us and be like, well, how come team so-and-so had 3 MVPs last session, one of the players was undefeated, and now they're in last place? I mean, how does a player go from being 8-1 and then to 1-8? And we've seen it where there's teams that have 2 or 3 players that do that. Or every game they lose, it's going to be like a real high score because they
Mike,
haven't
this
started
isn't a
on.
conversation for the Facebook Live meeting. You can call us when we get to that point. I didn't even pull the report yet.
Well, no, I don't mind having this conversation because that way somebody can see what we do. Mike, we believe you. We haven't looked at your stats yet, and we're sure you're fine. Anything else, Alex?
I've got nothing.
All right, so we're gonna go. Sorry, got some kind of stupid cold from the weekend and haven't been as talkative as usual.
Or pleasant.
I have not
Was
been.
that a loud voice?
All right, bye everybody.
Bye.
What do you usually say?
Be kind.